Today, I'm going to burst the bubble of every single founder out there. Investors are going to get a very realistic picture that what is happening in the Indian startup ecosystem. Indian Tech Startup Funding Report, which has recently come by Inc. 42, Q1 2024, has given me insights which are really strong. Many people have thought that last 3 years, startup ecosystem is growing. But I'll tell you one thing very specifically. Trust me guys, the last 5 years has been really worst for the Indian startup ecosystem. This particular report has opened each and everybody's eyes. This has given a realistic picture that which category, which segment of industry, and which type of startups are really doing well. I'm going to cover each and everyone's answers there. If you're a founder, then you would be looking that, hey Yash, tell me what are the type of startups which are doing very well? And what are the startups which are not doing very well? What are the industries which are going to be a highly growth industries in next 5 years? And what type of industries are not going to do well at all? So let me first give you a very amazing good stats. That is, the users on internet by 2025 has drastically increased. We have seen a 52% growth or the penetration for the internet active users in India. Smartphone users are around 931 million in 2022, whereas we can envision or we can see by 2025 will reach to 1.1 billion. That is around 22% of growth. In 2022, we are around 759 million users who are actively using the internet. But today, we have around 900 million which are going to use the internet every single day. The urban and rural split are very interesting because in urban areas, we can see a 10% growth from 360 million to 390 million. And in rural India, we can see a hyper growth that is a good news for people who are targeting tier 2 and tier 3 cities because we saw a 26% growth that is around 399 million in 2022, whereas currently we have around 504 million users in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That's amazing news because now Jio, Airtel or any telecom providers or any internet providers, the average cost of 1 GB in India is around $0.16. I think we are one of the cheapest country in the world who is providing internet at that cost. So let's talk about the state of Indian startup economy. We are third largest in the whole world with the startup ecosystem which we have built in the cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune and Mumbai. Till date, we have seen 68,000 startup in India. We have seen around 800k jobs created in the startup ecosystem. And we have seen around $147 billion funding happening in Indian startup ecosystem. 115 startups have already got the unicorn status, whereas 112 are going to be unicorns or yet to be unicorns. That's an amazing news, right? No, I'm going to burst the bubble there because the growth which we are seeing from last 4 years has been decreasing. I'll be giving you more statistics ahead. So let's talk about Indian startup funding for Q1 2024. We have seen 2 unicorns coming this year and we have seen 3 mega deals. We have also seen 15 mergers and acquisition, and we have also seen 461 investors participating in funding deals. In total, there was $2 billion raised by Indian startup ecosystem, and across 500 plus investors have invested in it. The top funded sector is going to be e-commerce. Yes, guys, e-commerce has been picking up. We have seen that fintech has been a champion from last 1 year, but now e-commerce and consumer brands have started picking up in 2024 Q1. The best city to do the startup, and I'm very sure you guessed it right, is going to be the Bangalore. But after that, it is Delhi and Mumbai. We have seen a steady growth in Bangalore and Mumbai, whereas Delhi ecosystem has seen a decline. This year, the best part, we have reached a milestone that is $10 billion in the Indian startup ecosystem. We can see the business are growing from year to year. When everything is going right, then you would be asking, Yash, then why are you talking about Indian startup ecosystem declining? So let me throw you some numbers. So let's compare quarter 1 2021, quarter 1 2023 and quarter 1 2024. That is the current year. The 2021 was the special golden year where we see a funding happening of $12 billion in the Indian startup ecosystem. Whereas in 2023, we can see around $3 billion. So from 12 billion to 3 billion, that is a steep decline which we have seen in the Indian ecosystem in 2 years. And this year is even more saddening because we can see only $2 billion coming in Indian startup ecosystem. So the funding from $12 billion has decreased to $2 billion. So let me show you how many startups we invested in 2021 and the startups we invested in 2024. In 2021, we almost crossed 500 plus startups. To give you exact figures, it is 506. In 2023, we invested in around 229 startups. And in 2024, it's around 214 startups who have received the funding. Now, the question is, what is the change? The change has come because investors have already envisioned that tech and enterprise tech with deep tech was the year where everybody wanted to invest. Now, AI coming into place, 2023 was amazing year for the AI space. This year, there are many applications which have come out of the AI space. The sectors like e-commerce, fintech has drastically leveraged AI and they have come up and raised funds. The founders has been amazing to raise the funds. So let's talk about sector-wise division. In 2021, it was enterprise tech who has led the fundings. In 2024, it is e-commerce. So the shift has already been seen. Q1 2024 witnessed lowest startup funding in 7 years. In 7 years, back to back, when we see from 2017 till 2024, we have seen funding amount going from $248 billion to going to 232 to going to 181, 212, 308. This was the previous year history pre-COVID. After COVID or during COVID, we saw the funding has come in a lot. Quarter 1 2022 was a golden year, and as I said, 506 startups have got funding in 2021 and 2022. In quarter 1 of 2023, we saw around $900 million invested in startup ecosystem, whereas in quarter 1 2024, we have just seen 300 million by now. So now let me talk about the individuals and companies which have received the funding in quarter 1 2024. This data is based on Inc. 42 report, which is based on Indian startup funding deals recorded between January and March. Now, the first startup which received the funding, which is the highest till now, it is Avanse, which is from Mumbai, and it's a fintech company which have received $120 million as funding round. There are companies like Pocket FM, Shadowfox, Capillary, Peripheos, Vivify, Loham, Newspace, Krutrim, Wow which is coming from the spaces like fintech, media entertainment, enterprise tech, consumer services, and logistics. The cities, definitely Bangalore leading the curve, but this time Mumbai has progressed a lot. Delhi has seen a steep decline, and whereas Kolkata is stagnant. And you can see in the screen, here is the list of the particular investors who have invested in these particular companies. You can reach out to them because definitely they are the ones who understand the spaces like deep tech, fintech, consumer tech, and enterprise tech. So this report has given me an amazing number. Average median ticket size which a startup has received is around $3.7 million. So entrepreneurs there and founders there who are coming in the stage where they are scaling the startups, you can definitely evaluate and you can reach this average and close by this average when you go for your funding rounds. Obviously, it is subjective according to the space and according to the revenue and according to the situation of business. But this number is quite fascinating because $3.7 million is really an amazing amount to scale your startup. So now let's talk about the two major sectors which saw a steep curve in their funding. The first one is e-commerce and the second one is fintech. We saw e-commerce around 50 startups getting the funding, whereas fintech there are 31 startups who got the funding. But I would give you some numbers. Fintech has received the maximum funding, whereas e-commerce is second in the race. So the amount, the check deal is more in fintech, whereas the number of startups who have got the funding is more in e-commerce. The other sectors are also catching the race. There is enterprise tech, there is health tech, there is deep tech, there is consumer service, there is agri tech, and there is ed tech. So now let's divide this according to the cities which these startups are coming from. Bengaluru has received around 853 million, while 63 startups are coming from Bengaluru. Trust me, they are coming from a tech space and AI space. So people who are running their startups, this is high time that you leverage AI into your enterprise solutions. This is where Yanisa execution comes in. And if you want to leverage AI into your daily processes, you can reach out to me and my team so that we can help you and make sure that you optimize your processes, you optimize your business calls and business decisions in a very efficient manner. Now, going back to the report, as I said, Bengaluru has received around 853 million, 63 deal counts, and the startups like Shadowfax, Capillary, Perifuse, Newspace, and Cruthrim, which is a AI-based chatbot which is competing with ChatGPT. Delhi has seen 48 startups who have received the funding. Pocket FM, Loham, Blue Smart, which is more towards D2C space. So fintech companies are rising up in Mumbai with a total funding of $351 million. 42 startups have successfully come up from Mumbai. Other cities like Pune and Hyderabad are catching up with the tier 1 cities. So let's talk about an amazing statistics which blow your mind. This particular numbers will tell you the reality of the Indian startup ecosystem. As we are talking about the number of startups and the total funding which these cities or the industries are getting, let me give you a statistics which is a year-on-year change in percentages. Bengaluru has seen 37% negative change from previous year, which is really bad because everybody who is going to Bangalore thinking that they will receive funding has got that eye shocker because now investors are not looking at revenue. They're looking at profitability. And that is the one of the biggest reason that Bangalore has seen a 37% drop. Whereas Mumbai has received just 9% negative from previous year. So Mumbai remains stagnant, but moreover, a city which was known for e-commerce and consumer tech has affected the most, and that city is Delhi. Delhi has seen minus 63% drop, which is really concerning. And this is where you really need to understand if you're running in a D2C space or a consumer brand, there are enough of saturation in the market and there is so much of competition that without a moat, you cannot survive in a startup ecosystem. Now, this brings me to an interesting topic again. As an investor, I have been networking with many investors. And when we network and when we talk on the dinner table, we discuss this, that what is that one thing that motivates investors to invest in the startup? And the answer is very clear now. We need the money which we have invested back in multiples. And that is where profitability is very important for Indian ecosystem. And the next thing which we discussed, are we investing in the early stage startup? And the answer is no. The seed capital has gone minus 21 from previous year. And we can just see $179 million invested this year, whereas last year it was 36% more than this year. Let me give you important statistics again. As an investor, I have been discussing this on the dinner table that what is the year-on-year changes in the growth or the life cycle of the startup. We are not investing so much on the seed stage startup, whereas we would like to invest in the growth stage startup. The last stage startups have seen a decline from the previous year by 53% negative. So if you're someone who is in the stage of growth stage, this is the year for you. If you're not in the seed stage or late stage, that is where investors are not seeing their eye. If you're in the growth stage where you can give multiples to investors, this is where angel investors, Series A and Series B will be seeing more this year. This year, we have also seen an interesting concept that is merger and acquisition. We have seen 57% increase in merger and acquisition. That means if you are a small startup and if you really think that somebody can acquire you, don't be ashamed of it. You can go to the bigger players and you can tell them that, hey, you know what? I'm selling off my startups. Are you interested? Definitely there is a thorough due diligence done, but merger and acquisitions have seen 57% growth. That is a statistics by itself. And we'll be seeing these numbers growing year by year, day by day, week by week. Let's talk about where is this particular merger and acquisitions coming in. Because of AI and the launch of AI, there are so many platforms who have launched their AI tools, AI internal tools. And these people have come out and they have gone to the enterprise tech. So this year, we have seen enterprise tech who has leveraged AI the most getting the merger and acquisition deals. There's a clear message to you guys that if you have that AI capabilities and AI engineers, machine learning engineers, deep learning engineers, or NLP, computer vision, this year is all about media entertainment, e-commerce, enterprise tech. And if you combine all these three, you have a better chance to get acquired or to acquire any other company. Another negative statistics for Indian startup ecosystem this year has been a sluggish pace for Indian startup experiencing decline in new unicorn creation. We have not seen so many unicorns coming up this year. We have seen Kruthrim and Peripheros taking over the unicorn status in Q1 2024. This year has been really concerning because we have seen women-led startup funding declining by 70%. And that is really, really, really bad. In 2021, we saw $1.8 billion for women-led startup funding, whereas this year it's just $71 million. I request all the investors there. We have so amazing women entrepreneurs in the country. It's time that we support all these entrepreneurs and identify the gap, train them, groom them, and make sure that we invest in them. Now, all the entrepreneurs who are watching me and all the founders who are at the stage of raising the funding, I'm going to give and share this detail on the screen once again. But I want to definitely talk about what type of funding is necessary to make sure that you are profitable. We have seen more than 100 startups taking venture debt. And this capital is coming from Stride Ventures, Black Soil, Alteria Capital, Innovev Capital, Bloom Ventures, Neo Funds, and many more. The second part is where Angel Network has also contributed to this Indian startup ecosystem. Private equity has been constant, but I will definitely see that private equity will be taking a steep curve in the positive end by the end of 2024. If you have waited till now, and those who know me, they know that I am an AI tech consultant. I am an AI investor. And the question by many entrepreneurs comes to me saying that, hey Yash, what do you think that will investors invest in the AI space? I will tell you that 66% of Indian startup investors are confident that the country is maintaining the stride in the global AI competition. 66%, that is an amazing number because people are believing that AI is the future. And if AI is your future, I am your future. There comes my next point. The market opportunity for AI applications in India by 2030 will be around $17 billion. And by 2023 to 2030, we will see a CAGR of 48%. So all the AI players there, 48% CAGR is an amazing growth rate. This you should definitely put in your pitch decks. So before I wind this video up, I really want to give you some amazing tips to raise your funding. You need 5 documents: your pitch deck, your investor memo, your financial projection, your video pitch deck, and your company profile. If you have all these 5 documents, trust me guys, you can go to investors and ask for funding. As I mentioned in the report, seed funding has seen a decline, but it does not mean that we will not see an increase of seed funding in next 3 quarters. Once again, I would like to thank Inc42 to articulate this report and give the statistics in a very, very classy manner. and the analyst Sandeep Singh, and designed by Sabit. Thank you so much, guys. This has opened all the eyes for investors, entrepreneurs, founders, business owners. And if you guys like this particular video and content, you can just hit the subscribe button, because there are amazing news which are coming from the investor end and from the entrepreneurship end. And we are going to leverage AI every single day. Thank you so much, guys. Keep watching The Last Laugh.